Hi, and welcome to the Working Tools Podcast, a casual conversation about Freemasonry.
Ladies and gentlemen, brethren all, welcome to the Working Tools Podcast, a casual conversation around Freemasonry. First, it's important to note that our thoughts and opinions are our own and do not reflect those of our Grand Lodge or respective craft or concordant bodies. Please connect with us and ask questions via our website at theworkingtoolspodcast.com.
Tonight we have our usual panel and a couple of special guests. So I'll do the introductions with the panel first. On my top left of the screen, I've got Very Worshipful Brother David Colbeth from King Solomon number 60. And then down from Washington as well, we've got Worshipful Brother Matt Appel from Mill Creek number 243. And then we've got our other regular host, Worshipful Brother Jarrod Dunham from Penticton number 147. And then, of course, there's myself, Stephen Chung from Prince Charles 153 in Kelowna, British Columbia. And tonight, our special guests for part two of our interview with Most Worshipful Grandmaster Don MacKenzie. Of course, he's here with us, and he's brought along his Grand Director of Ceremonies, Right Worshipful Brother Rick Causey. Welcome, gentlemen. Thanks for making the time to come back for another episode.
Thank you. My pleasure, Steve.
And we'll start off with David's questions. He had some questions just as we were running into the last part of the last episode there. So let's carry on with that.
You were talking about how you had an inquiry off of your calendar that you were updating. And so I know that the Grand Lodge has a relatively new website, right? The Begin You website. And I was curious how that's working for you. It's separate from your actual Grand Lodge page, and it's kind of a inquiry or prospecting page. And so I was curious how that's performing and what prompted it, and how that, kind of whatever you want to fill in on there.
Well, the Grand Lodge website is the existing one was one of the oldest and probably the most frequently website was used for education, and it was used by the Grand Lodge of California, a whole bunch of different places.
We all used it. Trust me.
But we knew we had to have something that was a little more user friendly, because it is a little bit old fashioned, that website, the original one, and the one we designed it's pretty good, and it. There is a proper page where someone that's interested. I don't like the word seeker, so I'll say aspirant can click on it and have themselves contacted within a pretty short period of time, and that I think was really good. I think there was 700 hits on it the first month. I think, Rick, wasn't it? Something like that. And I think that was probably drawn because of the fires that we had at a couple of lodges that piqued people's interest. But we've had there's I think a couple or 300 already that have signed up and are going through the 6-step program, and a lot of those numbers would be not accurate because those brethren haven't even had their investigating committees done and such. So.
Well, I know that we've received a half dozen of the inquiries through that Begin You website for the Okanagan. I've personally received them through Brother Christopherson, forwarding them on to our district deputy, and he on to our lodge. And it's been a pretty positive feedback from them.
They've done a tremendous amount of work helping lodges to look after these brethren and learn how to facilitate them better, so
is there a particular good process to it? Do they go directly to a single person or a committee, or to the DDGMs, or?
Well, once they make their initial inquiry, then somebody from that committee phones them and asks them a bunch of questions. Well, what would you like to see? If they're into outdoor activities, then they might put them into a lodge. They'll get a hold of the district deputy and say, this guy's interested in this, or camping and fishing and whatever. It's been really unusual because it's gone right to what the people want. And I think that's possibly why we lost so many people, have to match them up to the proper lodge. If there's 5 lodges in the district or 6 lodges in the district, then these guys are younger and they want to do something special. Well, why not put them together?
Is that your membership committee that oversees that then?
Yes, it is. Yes. They've done a fantastic job. They've been working hard. And it's been going on for a couple of years, but the hard work that they've been doing has just showed up this last year. And I think it's hats off to them. They've done a fantastic job.
Yeah. On top of that, David, what they also have is they have brochures that are made available to lodge secretaries and DDGMs. On top of that, they also have almost like a business card that you can give a prospective candidate that will walk them through to the Begin You website to get them interested. It's been particularly well received by DDGMs and lodge secretaries, and it's a good supplement to having a brother that they know in a lodge make the recommendation, because the Begin You site gives them maybe a little bit more in-depth without any particular bias towards one lodge or another. So
Yeah,
it's pretty fruitful that way.
The last fellow that we've got through their Brother Christopherson sent the information through, and Benjamin just dropped off his petition and money at our lodge meeting last Monday, and he was commenting on that site and the information that he got, and he also mentioned the original site. He said there's a lot of really cool information on that site, and he of course said that the podcast has helped him get a better idea of Freemasonry in general terms, and he's halfway through catching up on all the episodes for the past 3 years. All right. And so I thought that was pretty darn cool to hear. Right.
I think it's great that you guys are doing it, because your faces are much younger than mine. And you guys should be the face of the future. So
Well, we often say that we have faces for radio.
So, no comment. No comment.
Luckily, it's also an audio component. we have actually a lot more viewers on our audio only section. You certainly have exemplified, Grandmaster. You certainly have exemplified your message, your improvise, adapt, and overcome. Certainly was a fortuitous opportunity. Did you have any? I think we may have asked it, but I'm going to ask it again. Did you have any insight? What was COVID on the horizon, or when you were thinking about that, or was it just perfectly?
It was there, but we weren't locked down to that extent, But I couldn't have picked anything better if I would tried. It's summed up our year exactly what we've had to do, And I'm very proud of all the people that got on board with that theme, and they followed along with it too. That was very well received.
If we go back a little bit, you're talking about other firsts.
Yeah.
The other firsts were when we walked in, Grandmaster, to Kamloops with the suite, and were met by the brethren. There was a joyous feeling that you couldn't believe, and you think, it can't get any better than that. And
Right.
then we go up to District 9, and we go up to District 10, and it was replicated again. And the warmth, not only in the handshakes, but the hugs that were received were second to none. I mean, that was just incredible. So if you want a first, it's like the first time you ever walked into a lodge and somebody greeted you. You know, you never think that you can replicate that feeling. Well, it was done 3 times in a row. I thought it was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
In 4 days.
Yep.
That was fantastic. I think the biggest lesson we all learned over this past 2 years is what we've been missing, right? Like I said, we were locked down a little tighter than Washington was. I've been watching Most Worshipful Brother Cameron on his journey this year as well. So looks like he's been really busy too. I see he did a cornerstone ceremony. Was it last week or something? Last week or the week before?
I think the last 2 weekends, or maybe one might have been a weekend in between, but yeah, they just did one yesterday, and I think they did one 2 weeks ago. And then in the middle, he had his Grandmaster's roast. I was going to ask that. Do you have anything like that where they put you on in front of the audience and throw bad jokes at you? And
well, I had it even worse than that because they wanted to hang me for a while. So yeah,
Far too dignified.
right.
Yeah, we don't have an annual roast the Grandmaster event. Not that I know of, anyways.
I'd never seen that before in your jurisdiction either, David. Is that something new?
They've done it every year with some COVID exceptions and some other little exceptions, but they've more or less done it every year. It actually just so happens that Cameron, or Most Worshipful Brother Cameron, was raised in that lodge, in Sultan Monroe Lodge, many years ago. So I think they had a special I'm not sure what the word is there, relationship that they could exploit.
Connection. Yeah, connection.
Like I know for 2 years, I was supposed to be doing that Hands Across the Border. We never got to do that for 2 years. And that was rather disappointing. I missed out with Most Worshipful Brother Kaufman as well, who I just spoke to last week. So it's amazing the relationships you make along this road. It's amazing.
And Grandmaster, you're not going down to Washington State this weekend?
Yes, I am. I'm going down to one of the brethren from Washington. I think he took a demit in Washington, but he was on the nightly toast that we had. That's another first that we had. That we've had a nightly 9 o'clock toast that's been going on since March of 2020, 7 days a week, every night. And there's some of those brethren on there that when we were locked down, that was probably some of the only social interaction they had with anyone, right? And it's amazing what that did for them, and to watch them grow on this Zoom as well.
It's going to continue as far as I understand, the 9 o'clock toast, right?
Well, it's going to be pretty hard once we really get back into the swing of meeting, because the people that run it, I think Charles Buchanan, right, sure, Brother Charles Buchanan, he's a secretary of about 3 or 4 lodges, so I know it's going to take up an awful lot of his time. So,
and he's active in concordant bodies.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
Since we're kind of on the idea of, will you continue with hybrid meetings? That's something that some lodges in our jurisdiction have attempted to continue, and some with success and some without. I think you have to be very dedicated. Will you continue with hybrid, or will it be only in person?
I'd like to see some of it go on. I have a suggestion for some of the lodges, more like a challenge. Even if some of those older brethren that can't drive at night or not able to travel, wouldn't it be nice to have a big screen in the lodge room and invite them to the festive board portion of the lodge meetings, like just to keep them involved? I think we owe it to them.
That would be interesting to see how the logistics of that, to make it happen for a meeting with the microphones and the festive board. That'd be something worth investigating for sure.
Well, even if they had them do some of the toasts, right, toast ground lodge or what have you, that would keep them a little more involved. I think it'd be very nice actually for some. Like some people have moved away from their regular lodge, and they got a chance this year here to come back and visit their lodges. Like if they moved in with their relatives in Alberta or something, they would join in, and otherwise they wouldn't have had a clue what was going on in their own lodge. It was nice to see people reconnect.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Actually, we've got brothers that have moved, a lot of them to Alberta for work over the years, but some some have now retired to the island. Some have gone to, further ways, Saskatchewan and whatnot. And they were, like you say, they were all able to come back and partake in our regular meetings. Well, we weren't having meetings; we were having social gatherings for our lodge. But they were able to reconnect, which has been pretty cool.
Two of the lodges that I
sorry.
belong to on the island, our general purpose meetings are done through Zoom. It allows the younger brothers that have got their families to at least be at home rather than being out. I mean, that reduces it. And actually, some of the feedback is that it's reduces the angst from a spouse that they're out twice a month or more. So
I think that's another one of my first two this year. Is I think I did the first Board of General Purpose meeting strictly on Zoom. I think I did that first one.
Yeah,
and it worked out really well. Really well. We managed to keep it pretty well contained. Didn't get out of hand. It's good. Really good. Do you guys do that in Washington, David?
I was just going to say, I can see the grin on Steve's face, and Matt, you can see him laughing. That is absolutely something I want to steal. In addition to all the other things we've stolen from British Columbia, is the concept of a Board of General Purposes. We don't really have that at all, and I think it's an amazing idea.
I think, David, if you and Matt were to reach your hands out, in token of brotherly love and friendship, I'm pretty sure the Grand Master would be more than happy to allow you to share that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would love to get any kind of information you have, if it's codified or whatever. In that same vein, our building management, we call them temple boards, have been on Zoom and will continue to be on Zoom, or at least to components. There's a lot of us that like getting together, and so we do make the drive to the temple to meet, but then we also open up a laptop, and there's 2, 3, 4 guys that either they're busy or would like to stay home or whatever, and drive at night, whatever, and so they continue to be on the building management board virtually. It's a neat tool.
Yeah, we've been doing that for our Temple Society meetings too. Yeah,
but it allows the opportunity of choice. And we never had that before. You either attended or you didn't. You either were present or you sent your regrets. Well, now there's options for the brethren, and I think that's to be embraced. I think it's wonderful.
Yeah, we did a couple of those once we got into the Zoom a little bit, some hybrid type meetings, and it worked out well too. So,
I don't mean to put you on the spot, Grandmaster, but I was reading through your message from a couple of years ago now, and one of the things that struck me was that you were, I think it was maybe before you were Grandmaster, you were either charged with or at least burdened yourself with the idea of streamlining the committee structure of Grand Lodge, and was curious how that worked. Were you able to work through that, or did this change in venue and all that affect that?
Well, it did, because we weren't able to do any constitutional amendments because you guys had an open installation. British Columbia does not really have open installations. We just had some trials for lodges, but all in all, I don't think it's ever been done for Grand Lodge to have we've never done a online Grand Lodge before. So
you're talking about the governance model there, David?
It just talked a little bit about that Grandmaster was tasked with streamlining the committee structure of Grand Lodge, and that the structure of the committee was created when there was lots and lots of brethren. And we're kind of going through that same thing. Matt was actually in charge of it one year, I think, kind of during COVID. And so it's a similar thing. COVID, I always have to think about, how long ago was that? Oh, that's right, 2 years for COVID, when it was actually 4 years ago or 3 years ago and not last year. But same thing Grand Lodge Washington's going through is the idea of, hey, do we really need all these committees? What are they for? What are they doing? Why do they have them? That kind of thing.
what we found is we had the same number of committees and the same number of people when we had 5 times the membership. So I think it behooves us to streamline it a bit, so we're much more able to move quickly on some of these things, right?
Yep. If I could just ask for one clarification, I think that's the report that Very Worshipful Brother Richard Porter produced, Grandmaster.
I don't know if that's what David's talking about, but
Well, I'm on that committee. It is.
Oh, okay, good.
well, it's pretty hard to do that without having a Grand Lodge, Jarrod.
Oh no, I agree. Like we can make recommendations until we're blue in the face, but until we can
That's
actually
going to
vote
be
in Grand
carrying
Lodge.
on because I know our Grandmaster elect is going to be carrying on with that, and we were trying to carry on with it, but it's just too cumbersome to do. Like some of the ad hoc committees, we could just wrap them up, but we have to have a proper way to go before it gets done. So
Oh yeah, totally agree.
it'll happen.
Oh yeah.
I forgot Ben Dickens, 147. Okay. Yeah.
So I have one more question. We've got a few minutes left, and maybe this will diverge us into another line of topic. But one of our shows we had recently was we're talking about apparel and regalia and different things like that. And as a Master Mason, we're given the apron, right? A white leather apron or whatever. And in our jurisdiction, if I were to go to lodge, I would probably bring my white leather apron and wear it, or maybe be issued a white apron or white leather apron at the door to wear. And we were talking about that, and Jarrod said, I don't mean to, sorry, Jarrod. Jarrod said, white leather apron? Would you put the Master Mason's apron on? I said, a Master Mason's apron, that's the white leather apron, isn't it? He says, no. I said, oh, and I said, oh, no. And I was listening to that show the other day, and I thought, I hope that didn't come across as being... But so I said, he goes, well, no, you have this special white leather apron, the special apron. And he showed a picture of it, and it has these rosettes on it. And I said, well, what are the rosettes for? And he goes, oh, they're just decoration. I said, no, dear, we're Masons. There has to be a meaning to these rosettes. So I have the Grand Master of British Columbia and the Director of Ceremonies. What do the rosettes mean?
Well, there's actually quite a lecture about the aprons that goes along with it. And you'll find that there's a difference between the ancient ritual or the American ritual and the Canadian ritual, what those rosettes mean. So that would almost be a program in and of itself to describe that. Lots, and you know what, that's just a fabulous topic to go on, because our Constitution describes what aprons individuals are allowed to wear. The ancient lodges will tell you that the white lambskin apron worn in certain fashions will designate whether or not you're an EA, a fellow crafter, or a Master Mason. And that's good while we're going through the degrees, but it kind of gets tossed out the window a little bit when you're presented with your Master Mason's apron that you're allowed to travel with. And that's all part of that unity of being, in one brotherhood. We did have, a little story here, we did have a brother who decided to press that point a little bit, and he went to lodge meetings just wearing a white leather apron. And some people got really excited about the fact that we were allowing to have this entered apprentice sit in Master Mason's lodge. So what he was trying to do was to just get a little bit of education out there that this is accepted in an ancient lodge, and that when you travel around the world, you will see different things. You may not even see a Master Mason's apron like we wear in our jurisdiction. So it's a long story. And yes, I did kind of ignore the rosettes because there is a story behind the rosettes, but you need to listen to the whole lecture in order to be able to get it.
Whoa, there's a lecture on that?
Yes, sir.
I need to get my hands on that.
Okay.
Being the DFC and Director of Education in my district, looking for good content, that'd be another good one. Actually,
Canadian ritual lodge, are you not?
No.
That's
Ancient.
good. That's
We're
good.
ancient.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Oh, well, you know what? As a brother of the ancient, I can share that with you, knowing that it's not going to be mistreated.
Excellent. Interesting note on aprons. I just got from our past district deputy, Grand Master Larry Lundgren, an apron given to me that he got given to him from somebody I don't have it with me, so I don't have the history, but the gist of it is where it's from. They're given this particular apron when they become a master mason, and it is for their funeral. It is what they get buried with. They don't wear it at any other time. This is to be kept pure and unsullied, and so that they have something to be buried with.
There's a lecture for that too, Stephen.
Yeah.
It adorns their coffin before they go into that long home.
Right. So, I look forward to getting that lecture because that'd be an interesting one to present.
Absolutely.
If it's not too long, I can get that to memory for this year.
Right. You might be a little hard pressed to get it. Well, depending on when your year ends, but if you're thinking June, it might be a little hard pressed to get it done by June.
How many pages? Do you know?
2.
About 1,700 words, I think it is.
A piece of cake. The address of the brethren is 6 pages. I mean,
well, there you go. Your young mind, right?
Yeah. I can get that one.
It's like a steel. It's like a steel trap.
Yeah.
Mine's
Steel
rusted
trap.
shut.
Drill it.
Maybe I can ask you, David, a question on aprons. We're going down into Washington for an old gentleman that passed away that was on that nightly toast that I varied off from, and we're going to take our aprons with us. But I've heard that a lot of lodges in the U.S. just wear white aprons to a funeral.
That's the general custom, and I'm not seeing Matt's head nod, but he kind of gave a little bit of a. But yes, you, as the Grand Master, for certain, you wouldn't be shunned by any means wearing your normal apron. However, it is customary for Masons to wear white aprons to a funeral in Washington.
Mm-hmm. I did ask most worshipful Brother Kaufman the same thing, and he said, "Well, I've heard that too. And for a while, it was done where they just wear white aprons, and now it's a mixed match or whatever they do."
Yeah, I'd say it's sort of depends on the occasion. Some lodges do that still, and some don't. It sort of depends on the lodge and how they feel like doing it. I think because I've been to both for sure in Washington.
Because I think our whole grand line is going down to that funeral service on the 22nd of this month, and we just wonder what we could. We're always taught that wherever we go, we use our own ritual, our own whatever, but we didn't want to offend anyone. So
no, certainly wouldn't be offensive. And if you were to bring, if you were thinking you might wear your white apron, I would absolutely recommend bringing your own, because you never know what will be afforded to you at the lodge. Some lodges are more up to date on their aprons, and they're nice and of good repair, and some are not. So
this is going to be at the Scottish Rite Center in Everett. So
okay, yeah, but you would absolutely, as Matt said, you would not be out of order wearing your normal regalia.
Is this for whom is the service? May I ask?
Gary Rhodes.
Oh, Gary Rhodes. All right.
Did you know Gary?
I did. I'm a member of the Scottish Rite of Valley of Everett, so I'm very familiar with Gary, and yeah, he was a very active and Mason, and he was a great loss.
Yeah, nice man. Well, I've actually got there's one of the brothers from Indiana. He's coming. Not Indiana. It's Carolina that's coming to be at his service. That's all from that 9 o'clock toast.
Wow, that's great that the bonds of brotherhood were built that way across the country. That's really fantastic.
Yeah, it's fantastic. With guys from Scotland that come on there nightly too. Yeah, very good. Yeah,
it's actually across the continent.
Yeah, across the continent.
Yeah. It's unfortunate we've lost so many, and we've not been able to have proper services for them all this past couple of years. We've been giving our moments of silence, but hopefully now some of the families will be able to, have those celebrations of life, and we'll be able to put more of them to rest properly. It's it's interesting to note that they've had that tradition of wearing just a white apron to a funeral service. I've never heard that, so so I learned something new today. Right?
I think it's just being humble, Stephen.
Yeah.
We're all on the level.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea, but as we're coming near the end of our episode here, Most Worshipful Grandmaster, do you have any final words that you'd like to say on parting?
No, Stephen, just that I think we've done a good job, and I'm really looking forward to supporting Right Worshipful Brother Kent Obrey in his journey. He's going to do a fantastic job.
I'm sure he is. I'm looking forward to Grand Lodge. It's going to be in a beautiful place, that's for sure. Kimberley, BC. I'm looking forward to going and experiencing the brotherhood in the fashion that it's been so long. So yeah, kind of cool. But anyways,
I kind of have a selfish question. If one were to visit from Washington, I assume that would be permitted.
Certainly.
If one were to choose, I saw on the web, I think it's listed for 3 days. Is there a day that would be most appropriate for one to show up?
Well, the installation will be on the Saturday.
All right. Then
the most of the business is done on the Friday, if I remember correctly.
That's great.
And then we wrap up the business on Saturday morning, and then after lunch they do the installation. So if you're going to come up, we might have a couch in our chalet that we've haven't assigned to anybody yet.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I make no promises, but I'm toying with the idea. It's about 8.5, 9 hour drive, so I'm not quite sure, but
only one problem. I think it's on the same day as the Grand Lodge of Washington. Just a second.
I think yours is 2 weeks after ours. Ours is the 9th and 10th.
Yes, that's right. We're the 23rd, 4th, and 5th of June.
Right.
I was thinking of something else with Washington.
Actually, I'm sorry. Ours is the 10th and 11th. Sorry. But yeah. All right. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
So just to let you know, Stephen, we're going to be back up in the interior.
Oh yeah.
May the 28th, we're going to Nelson to have a joint District 6 and 7 Grandmaster official visit.
Excellent. May 28th. We'll have to see what's on the good old calendar around that date. That's a bit of a trek to get to Nelson.
Yep. And it's in the evening.
Pardon me?
7:00 start.
Yeah, for the evening. It's a several hour journey to get there.
Yes.
And then I don't know what time the ferry stopped getting me back either, right? So, but if possible, you never know, right?
I'm just putting it out there. So if you have anybody out there in those districts that want to attend, that'd be great.
Yeah, most definitely. Most definitely. Well, again, thank you for making the time, guys, to come and spend with us on this episode. We really appreciate it. We know that you guys have very busy schedules, and guys, anybody else have any last words? No. All right. Well, a big thank you from the Working Tools podcast. We appreciate your time.